Nevertheless, Russia, a vast and intriguing nation, has a great deal of truly interesting and captivating things to offer to the world. And in actual fact, it possesses the remarkable capacity to significantly enrich and expand the established list of known psychoses and various hysterical disorders. And that in itself is already quite a significant and noteworthy something. To this list of psychoses and hysterical disorders, we can add the so-called Russian psychosis. This is a very particular condition. How much it is connected to biological problems of the brain is a completely open question. No one has studied this. And the essence of the psychosis that we can call Russian lies in the patient's desperate fear of being influenced by a more developed civilization and in the fear of losing their ancestral primitive traits, the so-called spiritual bonds. To be honest, this kind of psychosis is by no means unique to Russians. It manifests itself just as vividly, of course, among the Sentinelese tribes in the Bay of Bengal and in some tribes of New Guinea. For example, the Chimbu tribe. And here's why I'm bringing this up. I have an amazing video on my Telegram channel that demonstrates and illustrates this Russian psychosis in a wonderfully vivid way. This is Moscow. This is the EU delegation. Are you surprised? But it hasn't been closed yet. And at this delegation, there is a formal reception for those smart boys and girls who have won grants to study in Europe. They were gathered there and are about to be sent off to Europe. And at this event, some carriers of the psychosis somehow slipped in, burst in, and staged a collective hysterical outburst. They shout loudly, they scream intensely, they bite fiercely, they foam at the mouth, explaining with great urgency to the truly lucky ones who have received a coveted ticket to study in Europe, explaining to these exceptionally fortunate individuals the full and utter horror of their dire situation and their impending initiation, and telling them emphatically that this profound initiation into European civilization will indeed deprive the students of their inherent Russianness, their very essence. Well, it's hard to say how widely the general public is affected by this specific Russian hysteria, but it should be understood that Russian traditions are very conducive to this because nowhere else in the world, well, yes, strictly speaking, nowhere else in the world has what is called klikuchestvo in Russian been so developed. And this is proven not only by all sorts of Krustelnotsi, not only by Russian communities and groups like Sorokov, but also by people like Masha Zakharova and Solovyov. And this anxious hysteria, this conversion hysteria, the hysterical psychosis that Russian propaganda demonstrates daily, all of this has its roots in that old fanaticism. And now there is a valuable opportunity to study this new psychosis, which alongside involutional and postpartum psychosis will take a very, very prominent place. And by the way, both Bekhterev and Krepelin spoke about this psychosis, even though, unlike me, they simply didn't know what to call it.